thought I could get by being smart. I couldn't. My grandkids will know that I was putting in the work. Like, this is generational.
You bought some land in Canada.
Yeah, it's a family thing. If your Airbnb is failing, the first thing you need to acknowledge is it's completely your fault, no one else. Where the smart money is in the underdevelopment of areas. Working will make you a living, but owning a business will build you proper life. It's rude, it's disrespectful.
You're too strict.
When you come from a sales background and a hustling background, you eat what you kill. It's entitlement. You need to work harder. I'm more competitive about not leaving anything in the tank. My biggest fear is wasted potential. When you're making money and when you're building wealth, there is a spiritual element to it as well. Poverty lives within slow decisions. When we hit our first million, our accountant was the one that told us we didn't know.
Lock in now so you don't have to clock in forever.
I hope you guys are excited to get into this episode. Don't forget, if you would like to purchase an investment property in Dubai, make sure to fill out the form below and book a free consultation with me. Welcome to the Building Wealth with No Borders podcast with me, Lamide Elizabeth, where I'll be bringing you guests from around the world to share their strategies on building wealth. And today we are filming in London at Myriad Studios. So if you're looking for a reliable and professional studio, then definitely check them out. And we are here with seven-figure Christian entrepreneur and Airbnb millionaire, Dami Omotayo. And I will tell you guys that we did have his wife on before. So if you guys remember that episode with Tommy Tayo, this is her husband. So I'm excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
Can you just give them a little bit of an introduction to yourself?
Sure. So I'm a property entrepreneur. I am a husband, a father, a Christian as well, a man of faith. Somebody that enjoys everything business, property, and having a good life, enjoying the lifestyle that property has enabled us to live.
I love that. I love that. So I was looking at your YouTube channel and just some content that you've put out there.
Yeah.
Just to try to get a little bit more, understand a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've met you before, but didn't really have like the background. And I saw that you did call yourself a Christian entrepreneur. So that's interesting. And I want to dig a bit more into that later on. And you seem also very keen on mindset.
Yeah.
So I want to get into that. But before that, I want to get into the Airbnb Millionaire stuff. But even before that, I want to start with like how you grew up, because that's what they love to hear, kind of like get to know someone. So what was life like for you growing up?
Life was fantastic. So born in London, my mum and dad are both, well, my dad's passed away now, but they were both medical professionals, both doctors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my dad was somebody that from day one, he spoke life. He encouraged me in everything that I did. One of my biggest inspirations. My mum, most loving parent ever. Like, I grew up with so much love, so much support. She did everything that she could have ever done in her life to make mine and my sister's lives better. She did it. So grew up in London. My dad got a job up north. So then we moved up north for a few years.
Where's up north?
It was like next to Liverpool.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we moved back down south to Kent. And then I did my secondary school, grammar school. And then I did my sixth form private school. Yeah. So, and yeah, my mum paid for everything, because when I was 16, my dad fell sick and then he passed away when I was 18. So during that period, my mum took a lot of the financial burden, but that's when I understood and saw what real love was, because she put us first. So in my childhood, I can't knock it. Childhood was great. Obviously that period where my dad was ill, I went a little bit off the rails, but in general, I had an amazing childhood. My parents set me up for success.
I love that. I love to hear that, because I think we hear enough struggle stories that it's sometimes just nice to hear. Just actually, I had two parents that worked really hard, did really
100%.
well, and they provided a good life. So financially speaking, like you went to private school, so you would have had a good. And also, how did that make you feel towards like being a doctor?
Obviously, if you know the Nigerian upbringing, like especially my mum, it was very much be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an accountant, be something like that. My dad was more entrepreneurial. Like, he was invested in properties from early. He was doing business. So he always kind of told me, son, you can make money from, like, you can make a living from a job, but wealth is created through business. So I always had that in the back of my mind. And it wasn't always easy. Like, there was times when my mum hadn't passed her medical exams. Her and my dad were going through stuff. So it's like, there was time when there was no money, but there was always love. And also, my mum never made me feel like there was no money. So it's not like, I'm not going online and rapping saying, there's no milk in the fridge or all this kind of stuff, because we always had enough. Do you understand? So like, even if we were poor at certain parts, I never felt poor. And that's why I'm big on mindset, because there are people that are rich that feel poor, and there are people that are poor that feel rich. So it's all about your mental framework as well.
What was you like in school?
What was I like in school? Maybe a frustrating child to teach. School came very easy to me, very natural.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and I really hate authority. So
Why?
I don't know, I just never really took to it.
You
So
don't like being told what to do.
I always used to look at teachers and think, if this is the epitome of like life, then I don't want to listen to you. That's that's what I used to think from an early age. So like, I remember a teacher saying to me, like, I'll never forget this story. Like, he was like, guys, you should listen to me. I'm on 40K a year and, I'm on a massive salary. And he was really bigging it up. And I was thinking in my head, that's not a big salary. And,
Even at what age was that?
Yeah, must have been, I don't know, 14.
Really?
Yeah, because bear in mind, I was in school and my dad was investing in properties. So some of these teachers in school were renting from him. And I always, we used to speak about money openly. So I'd ask, what is a doctor's salary? What are you earning? My dad used to tell me I'm on 150K, but with other extra things, I can make 200. But really what I'm trying to do is invest in properties, X, Y, Z. And I knew my mum back then, I think she was on about 90K. So in my head, 40K didn't seem like a lot. So yeah, obviously for me to listen to you, I have to respect you.
That's so funny because your wife was a teacher.
She was a teacher, but this shows my depth, I guess, because I didn't want her to ever her job wasn't to make the money. I wanted stability.
Okay.
And when we met, she said, I want to be a teacher. I just want stability. She said, what do you want? I said, I want it all. I want the life. So it's like, she kind of, I didn't want a wife that wanted to have this high paying, crazy job.
Okay.
But funnily enough, obviously, she's always been very business focused as well. She wanted to be a teacher for the stability. It wasn't really about money. It was about stability.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's jump back in. How was you in school? So you didn't respect your teachers.
I respected some of them, don't get it wrong, but in general, I didn't respect my teachers. Yeah,
Okay.
correct. And I wasn't the worst behaved, but I wasn't the best behaved for sure.
Was you smart?
Yeah, I did well in school, like without trying.
Tell me, what did you get?
All A's and everything. And then it was only until university when the not studying caught up with me.
Okay.
But like in school, yeah, all A's and everything. Like it was easy. Got into good university, Lancaster University. Did law. Didn't really enjoy it, but
You want to be a lawyer?
I just appeased my mum. Really, she was putting pressure. And I said, "So you know what, mum, I'll do this for you. Do law." But when I graduated university, I went into sales, and she wasn't happy. She was not happy at all.
Why did you not go and be a lawyer? Lawyers earn pretty good money if you're a corporate lawyer.
I just thought it would take too much time.
It does take
I just thought like, I've got to do a training contract. I've got to do an LPC. I've got to I've got to listen to all these people above me and come in and like impress them and, play that corporate game and like FaceTime. I just said, how can I make money now? Like, how can I make some money now? Like, I didn't have the patience. And I think that impatience is a very good trait when it comes to building wealth, making money. You have to be impatient.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so before we get into that, did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Like, or did you just wanted to go into a high paying profession? Is that why you went into sales?
I wanted money with the least amount of effort. That's what I wanted. And I just thought, like all these like investment bankers and lawyers losing their hair in their 30s, like sleeping in the office. I remember back then, Linklaters and I think Freshfields and all these big law firms, they were setting up like sleeping pods in their office because it's like, let's show you how hard we're working. I thought, this isn't life.
When I saw that, I thought that was so cool. And that's how I was in a different mindset.
I was disgusted.
I was like, oh my God.
I could have thrown up there.
They have a barbers, they have sleeping pods. Oh my God.
No, I hated it. And it's like, I have friends that went into law. They've been very successful. They are very successful, but at what cost?
But that statement that you made about being impatient about money, that can lead you into fraud. That can lead you into so many.
Yeah, I think obviously impatient with integrity, right?
Okay.
Because obviously like fraud is not being impatient, that's being silly because you're risking your freedom. So, for what? For quick money now, for a lifelong of pain in jail. Like.
So you weren't dumb enough to do that?
No, never dumb enough to do things like that.
So was sales what you thought was going to get you that money?
100%. Sales, everything is sales, right? Life is sales. So yeah, sales is like, sell or be sold, right? Like, you're getting sold from birth an idea that if you go to school, read your books, be a good boy or a good girl, you'll get a good job and then you have a good life. You're sold that. It's either you're sold or it's either you accept that or you don't. I didn't choose to accept that.
And how at university did you decide that it was going to be sales and not law? Like, did you see someone who was making lots of money that was doing sales and you were like, yeah, that's the job I want to do?
I just wasn't doing that well in my law degree, to be honest. Like, I just wasn't going to all my lectures. I thought I could just get by being smart. I couldn't. It caught up with me. It was too much reading. It was too much to take in. I couldn't do it. So I just said, okay, how am I going to make money? And yes, I went on to like, back in the day, it was something called Raw Talent Academy.
Okay.
And it was like hundreds of people that wanted to get into sales, but had varying experiences. And it was like The Apprentice. You had to go through all these rounds. And then me and like 3 people that are my friends now, we won. And then we got offered jobs at the end of it. Yeah. So that's how I got into sales.
And how was it working in sales?
Character building. It made me who I am today. Like, I love every minute of it. Like, if I hadn't done sales, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tell me
yeah.
more about that.
In sales, you eat what you kill, right? So it's like, if you do the volume, if you do the numbers, if you put in the effort, you're going to get results. And it's like, there's not really a limit on what you can earn. And if you do the right things and say the right things and show up every day, you're going to get paid. And I remember I had a conversation with my boss. We were in a pub like years ago, and he said to me, Dami, do you know how many degrees I have? I said, how many? He said, 0. He said, did you know if I went to university? I said, no, I don't know actually. He said, I don't. But he said, do you know how many people did go to university who worked for me? And he was pointing at them. He said, this guy got a 2-1, this guy got a first, etc., etc. And then it kind of just reinforced what my dad said about, working will make you a living, but owning a business will build you like a proper life, because he had no real education, but all he did was put together a team of people that could do what he needed to do. And he was making really good money as a result. He didn't understand the nuances of IT technical recruitment, but he just hired people that did. And as a result, he was making millions of pounds every year.
So that inspired you?
100%, massive inspiration. I went to his house. It looked like something from MTV Cribs, Porsches, lifestyle. Like, I thought, okay, if there's a way to get there, how is it to get there? And I think that business ownership is the way to create very good income and wealth down the line.
So what took you to Dubai?
Opportunity. The first time, right? 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. Opportunity. So again, I had friends that were in sales and they were doing the same thing in Dubai, but making double the income. And this was back in 2017, when Dubai wasn't as sort of mainstream as it is now. It was seen as a bit of like, interesting, going to Dubai. So I had some friends that were over there. They were making good money. Me and my wife, we don't overthink things. So like, we had a conversation for 25 minutes. We decided, okay, cool, we're moving. So we started looking for jobs. I believe we both got the first job we applied for. Yeah. She was earning double her money as a teacher. So I think she was on like 4.5K a month, which was like double what she was earning in the UK. And I was on similar. So I remember our joint income plus commission, we were doing about 10 grand a month back then. So it was better than what we were doing in the UK. So we thought, yeah, let's give it a go. It was different. It was fresh. Yeah, we like to keep it fresh.
And then when did you get tired of it? Like, when did you, because your wife mentioned that she felt like you were sad when you were in Dubai.
Yeah, I was. So this is when it got to the next stage where it was like, I was getting commission, but I felt like I'd hit a ceiling. Like, for the work and what I was doing, I didn't feel like I was getting paid enough. So I was grinding it out. And then I had that feeling deep inside me that I know I could do more. And she could feel that as well. So we had a conversation, and that's obviously when we decided that we're going to start our property business. And then I think it was about a few days after that conversation we had, I just found myself just typing an email to my boss saying, I need to have a chat with you. And I just told him, like, it's over, I'm leaving. I didn't really have a backup plan, except the business has to work.
Did you have side businesses, like, all throughout this time, like during school, uni? Did you have side hustles?
Like, here and there, side hustles. We set up like little recruitment businesses. My wife did hair as well. We did little things here and there, like set up like little online e-commerce businesses. Nothing that blew up, but good little side incomes.
Okay. So then how did this, you refer to yourself as an Airbnb millionaire.
Correct, yeah.
First of all, what does that even mean? Millionaire in what sense, right? Because people will ask, millionaire in what sense? Airbnb millionaire in what sense?
A millionaire is a net millionaire, like from property. So Airbnb is one strategy that I do. That's my favorite strategy. And we've transacted millions of pounds through Airbnb.
So on a yearly basis, you're netting millions from Airbnb.
Correct. Yeah. Not just Airbnb, our other strategies.
Your other mainly rent to rent.
80% of what we do is rent to rent. But like rent to rent, temporary accommodation, supported living, HMOs, Airbnb, deal sourcing. Like we've niched down in property, but we have various different strategies within property which pay us.
And I'm going to ask you a question. And the reason I'm asking you this is just to validate, I guess, what you do. But I think it's necessary because I think especially with property and Airbnb, there is so much online. It's like drop shipping. There's so much online about it that
now there is, it's become a lot more popular. It never used to be.
Yeah, I think COVID turned everyone into like doing courses and stuff like that. But you never really know who's actually doing it versus who is saying they're doing it. So for you, in terms of the income that you make from your property business versus the income that you might make from talking about it or teaching about it, what is that proportion?
2.5%, maybe 5%, I'd say. 95% is the business. The business is what I enjoy, to be honest. Like I started my business and I documented the journey because I wanted to. I never had plans to be a property influencer or trainer or anything like that. Training actually was birthed from people asking me all the time, can you help me? Can you teach me? Can you ask me? Can you teach me? Can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? And obviously, time is your most valuable commodity. So if somebody's gonna take my time, then they have to pay. It's just normal because my time is expensive. And you know, if I was trying to get somewhere through someone further ahead than me, I wouldn't be so disrespectful to try and do it without paying. Like it's crazy. Like, you know, people,
I love that you call it disrespect.
It is disrespectful because I wouldn't think to DM someone who's miles ahead of me, answer all my questions and respond to me. It's disrespect. It's rude. It's disrespectful, but shows me their mindset. And when I see that kind of a message, it's rude. I don't like it. It's the truth. So it's like, yeah.
I'm laughing because you're so direct, but what you're saying is facts.
Yeah.
So then how did you choose rent to I know because your wife spoke about rent to rent already, but in terms of rent to SA, how did you choose that? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. I'm just really passionate about like interior design, spaces, turning properties into something that nobody would stay in, into something that people would. And it's funny because we didn't actually start with Airbnb. We were doing rent to rent HMO, like rooms. It was only when we thought there's a market here. You know, a lot of people are saying Airbnb, it can't work in Kent. This was years ago. Said, oh, who was going to go to Kent? People only go to London. When I hear things like that, it gets me excited because I'm thinking, okay, you don't see an opportunity. I've seen that could potentially be a gap in the market because nothing works until it does work, right? And then when it works, now everyone's talking about Kent now. So where the smart money is in underdevelopment of areas. Like let's even take gentrification, for example. Like certain people would say, oh, you know, I'd never stay in Hackney because they grew up there. But to someone in France or Spain, they're looking at how far is it to London Bridge or how far is it to this, and it's a lovely area. It's the same thing with Kent, right? Like people who maybe grew up in the area or hear about it think, oh, what's in Kent? Everything's in Kent. Yeah.
And with because you're doing a lot of it is rent to SA, there's a lot of risk in that. So how do you circumvent that?
What do you mean?
How do you get comfortable with that? Because that's the reason why a lot of people won't do it, right? Is because it's like, well, even if somebody doesn't say, let's say with Airbnb, you have high seasons, you have low seasons. They might be thinking, well, if I have 2,500 I have to give to the landlord, and there's a possibility that I don't make that month, I might be in a loss, for example. So when you were going into it, how did you think like, okay, cool, there's a risk, but I'm going to do this? Like, what made you comfortable?
Firstly, I'll say in any business, right, when you want to scale, there's risk in anything. So there's no risk, no reward. Like, why would you buy a house and pay a mortgage and give it to a tenant and know for sure they're going to pay you their rent? They might not. That's a risk. Why do people take that risk? They take that risk because they believe that if they vet the tenant correctly and do as much as they can, that the tenant's going to pay their rent. It's the same in Airbnb. Obviously, if there's going to be a low season, how can you mitigate that low season? You know, you're not potentially... If tourists don't book your properties in January, are you marketing to contractors? Are you going above and beyond? It goes back to sales. What can you do? How much volume can you do to make it absolutely unrealistic that your property is going to sit empty? Like you have to go the extra mile. And the truth of the matter is, especially with Airbnb and business in general, most people do fail and most people will fail. Like that's the truth. It's not like because Airbnb is like, is very popular and spoken about online, it gets unnecessary and probably disproportionate scrutiny to other things, because most people fail at everything, right? But it's like, we're talking about Airbnb, why isn't everybody successful? Why are most people not millionaires? Why do most people fail in business? Because it's that perseverance, it's that consistency, it's that longevity that majority of people aren't willing to put into any business. So I'd say with Airbnb, you said, how do you circumvent it? You just have to go above and beyond. You have to do what other people wouldn't do. Are you marketing everywhere? Are you on open rent? Are you on spare room? If you're just relying on Airbnb and booking.com and you're not doing any direct outreach, are you going to contractor vans in hotels at 7 p.m. and taking pictures and marketing to them like that? So many things you can do.
Do you do that?
I've done it many times. The people that follow me online will know I've woken up 5 a.m., taking pictures of 100 contractor vans. Me and my wife have emailed every single one, and we've made thousands, tens of thousands of pounds from doing it. Because if someone stays in a hotel, the way I see it is, if you stay in a hotel and you're within a 5-mile radius to my Airbnb, why can't you stay with me? Because we have a better offering.
What would give you the initiative to do something like that? Like, most people wouldn't think about that.
Yeah, because when you come from a sales background and a hustling background, you have to find a way to get it done regardless. And for example, in recruitment, you eat what you kill. So if you can't convince somebody to move from job A to job B, you're not getting paid. So you have to get creative. And I think being creative in life and in business is a very underrated skill.
I love that. What is the biggest booking you've had when it comes to, actually before that, if someone wasn't doing well in Airbnb right now, let's say someone's watching this and they tried to set up a rent to SA, or they bought a property and they're doing Airbnb. I guess what kind of questions would you be asking? I know you've kind of mentioned like going above and beyond, being on the different sites and stuff. What other things would you be telling them or asking them in terms of like trying to diagnose why their particular Airbnb is failing?
I think firstly, I'll say that there's literally billions of pounds in the economy in property and in Airbnb. So if your Airbnb is failing, the first thing you need to acknowledge is you need to look in the mirror and say to yourself, it's completely your fault. It's completely, you are the only one to blame, no one else. Like, it's completely your fault. You need to get that out there first and not make excuses about X, Y, Z. Second thing is, how are you marketing your property? So like, are the pictures looking attractive? Because a lot of people think that they can, iPhone pictures and, scrimp, I don't want to pay for a professional. Well, you're going to pay anyway in lost bookings. So you should pay for a professional to get the pictures on. That's step one. Step two is, does your property look nice and appealing? When we look at pictures for 5-star hotels, we're thinking that looks nice. People have paid attention to the interior, not just the interior, but the functionality. So make sure your property is going to service people, because the interior will pull them in, but the functionality will get them to return. So make sure that you're covering and you're ticking that box. The next thing is, how are you advertising? Like, Booking.com spend billions of pounds on advertising, so the Airbnb. And you think with one unit, you can have no marketing initiative, not even a budget, just an initiative. I think you're going to book. It's entitlement. You need to work harder.
I love it. What's your best performing Airbnb unit? Like, what does that look like?
I would say it's the bread and butter, like 4-bed pluses that net a few £1,000s a month that are rented to contractors long term. They're probably our best performing. Okay. Our most wild performing are like the luxury properties where someone might book 20k for 10 days. That's nice, but the occupancy isn't as high. So that doesn't happen all the time. But the bread and butter is like properties that are £200-300 a night booked for the month.
And they're typically 4 beds when it comes to UK.
4-bed plus, because, for example, we target a lot of contractors. If they were to have the same property or do the same thing with a hotel, they may be spending £100 per person per head, which is like £400 a night. Let's say they come to us and it's £200 a night. That's £6,000 a month. Take away bills, rent, etc. We could be netting anything from £2,000-3,000 a month profit. So obviously, let's say you've got 10 of those, 20 of those, 30 of those, it racks up. Do
you do Airbnb in Dubai?
I don't do it at the moment, but I have done it before. So when we were first in Dubai, I did it, 2017, 2018.
Why did you exit it?
To be transparent, I wasn't really doing it correctly. Like, I just listed, I didn't tell anybody what I was doing. I just listed the property, and it did all right. It did well, but we were building our business in the UK, and in the UK, money was coming in. So I just thought at the time that the margins and the barrier to entry was lower in the UK. In Dubai, if you want to get a good unit, you're going to get the best deal by paying a year up front or in 6 months up front, and in the other 6 months. UK, you can just pay your rent monthly. So yeah, that's why. But I'm not against Dubai. I like Dubai, but right now, if it's not broken, we don't need to fix it. So when the right opportunity comes, we'll take it, but we don't need to do anything in Dubai right now.
Out of interest, and what is your like worst performing Airbnb unit? Maybe not in a negative, but it doesn't bring in as much as the others.
It's an interesting question because no units are like performing badly, but where we have issues is like with maintenance. So for example, if it's not clear from the outset who covers things, sometimes the landlord might push back and, I'm not covering this. And then, or like, you'll get bad reviews because guests don't care who the landlord is. They just want an experience. And then obviously, if you then get bad reviews, you have to really close the unit and go again because people won't book it. So,
Oh, is it?
yeah. So technically, maintenance is the biggest issue because any unit can perform well anywhere as long as when guests go, they have a good experience.
Doesn't London have that 90-day rule when it comes to Airbnbs?
Correct, yeah. But the 90-day rule is only for short stays. So if you target like mid stays, like 30-day plus,
Okay.
2-month bookings, 3-month bookings, then that's how people get around it. I'm not advising anybody to get around it, but that's how people get around it. Also, you can open multiple listings, and it's pretty much like Airbnb and some of the other OTAs that enforce it. If you're doing direct bookings and things like that, and and it's long term, you won't have those issues.
Is that why you focused in on Kent?
And that was my next point, right? You also don't have to do Airbnb in London. And also you can just apply for a change of use planning as well. Like there are ways to get around it. It's just, again, you have to be creative.
How many units, let's say if someone was watching this interview and they're thinking, okay, I want to be the next Airbnb millionaire. What would you say is the number of units they should be aiming for?
That's a great question. I would say it's not about units, quality rather than quantity, right? Because you can have 1,000 units and be breaking even every month. You can have 10 units that make you $3,000 a month and you're happy with that income. And you can have, let's say you have 20 units and they're all making you 4 or 5K a month. It's good cash flow. So I'd say focus on the quality of the unit, not the quantity. It's very easy to get drawn out into, I have X amount of this amount of units, but what is your income? Who are you servicing? Are you creating a real business? If Airbnb was to go down tomorrow, can you still operate? Do you have a database? Do you have people you can call, people that want to stay in your properties? Because again, if we're relying just on Airbnb for our bookings, we don't have a business.
Okay, I want to get into something that it actually came up in the episode with your wife in the comments, but I think it's a general sentiment around, it's generally around landlords in general, but especially when it's rent to rent, HMO, serviced accommodation, where people say that those who are engaging in that are affecting the rental market, they're driving up prices, it's this, it's that. What is your opinion on that?
I think it's ignorant and highly disrespectful. Like it offends me because it's like a lot of the houses we take, people wouldn't live in them. We invest in them, we turn them around, we make them good quality accommodation. We're creating win-win scenarios. Contractors that would have to pay £400-500 a night, we're giving them a better product for less money. Insurance relocations, people where their houses have been flooded, we're giving them home away from homes. We're giving them the opportunity. And another thing I'll say is that this isn't a gripe with landlords or people like me because no one holds a gun to a landlord's head and says, give me their property. They want it because maybe they're fed up of ordinary tenants that don't pay rent and they don't have anyone to go to. When a tenant doesn't pay their rent, who's there to support landlords? Landlords don't go online and start, crying about it. Landlords,
and if they did, nobody would
cares.
care.
Nobody cares. Landlords just find a way, right? And like, if you've got a problem, go and ask the government to build more houses. But until then, I think you should be grateful for people like me.
I love it. Okay, so I saw on your channel that you bought some land in Canada.
Yeah, it's a family thing.
Family thing. Okay, so what brought that around? Why Canada? Why land?
My mum's lived in Canada for the last 10 years.
Okay.
My sister's a lawyer in Canada. So yeah, it was always a plan to do some investments over there. And I think that the Airbnb market in like Canada, North America is very underutilized.
Okay.
And my plan is to make sort of like a luxury outdoor glamping, fishing experience.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Would it be like tiny homes?
Yeah, correct.
They love that in North America.
Yeah. And also the RV industry is massive in Canada as well.
Yeah.
Like it's huge. Like people will drive for miles just to do their RV thing. So yeah, it's a bit of a side project, a bit of a passion project, and yeah, that's how it came about.
That's sick.
Yeah,
What's the timelines looking like for that? How long does that sort of stuff take?
I'd like to say within the next 24 to 36 months, but it could be longer. But again, little by little, right? This is genuinely a passion project. It's not to like make huge amounts of money. This is about leaving legacy. This will be for generations after me to really enjoy.
I love that. Why did your mum and your sister move to Canada?
My mum, as a doctor, they were handing out like good opportunities, like to go over there. They were paying good salaries. She just took the opportunity. My sister, I think, just because my mum was there, really. I don't know if there's any specific reason, but I guess it's nice to be where family are. And she's got a good law job in Vancouver. She's doing well. So, yeah.
If I said like building wealth with no borders, what would that mean to you? Like, where does that sit with you?
I would say that, that would mean like building wealth with no limiting beliefs in your mind, having no borders in your mind, and also having no borders no borders globally. So like if you want to go and build in South Africa or in Dubai or in America or in Canada, UK, you can do it. Nothing's stopping you except yourself.
Do you have that global mindset?
If you're enjoying this content, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you would like to become an international property investor in Dubai or in the UK, the link to book a free consultation will be in the description box below. If you're not quite ready to invest yet, check out the affordable video courses that will also be linked in the description box below. And if you would like to relocate to Dubai, set up your business in Dubai, or anything else related to relocating to Dubai, check out www.theprofessionalnetwork.com.
Or would you say you're more okay?
100%. Yeah, I'm open-minded to anything. Like I think that mindset, like I truly believe I can achieve anything. So yeah, I'd say even more like global, universal. I don't have any limits.
So why did you guys move back to Dubai from your perspective the second time around?
I think we just wanted to be stretched a little bit. We were comfortable, like kids in private school, Lambo on the drive. We just wanted a bit more. Why is that funny?
Because the things that you say, the way you say it, it's just so funny. And this was in the UK.
Yeah, it was in the UK. Yeah. Yeah.
So how was Dubai going to stretch you? As in seeing maybe other people who are more successful.
Yeah, like I think iron sharpens iron, right? Like if you're like doing well in the UK, sometimes complacency can set in. But if you're around people where like let's say you have £1 million a month and someone's like disappointed, because they're used to £1 million weeks, it stretches you. So, and also just environment is key, right? It's like, yeah, I can't tell you why. Like obviously, we went the first time, enjoyed it, came back, we've gone again. I guess it's like we're trying to build wealth with no borders, right? Trying to go wherever the opportunity is.
Are you a competitive person?
Define competitive.
If your neighbor, I don't want to make it about cars, but I think you said that you do like cars, right? Let's say like your neighbor got a, 2026 plate. You're like, okay, nah, this is motivating me. Now I got to get a 2027 plate. Be honest.
I'll be very honest. I'm a highly competitive person, yes. But like only with things that I like. So for example, I enjoy driving the best cars. I enjoy doing the best things. But if it's something I'm not passionate about, like if someone spends 50K in Dior, I'm not going to spend 50K in Dior. Like I wear designer here and there, but it's not my personality. Cars I've been passionate about from day one. So yeah, but I'm more competitive about not leaving anything in the tank. My biggest fear is wasted potential. So it's like, I don't like the feeling of not being stretched all the time. I almost find peace in the chaos. So I have to have a lot of things going on. Otherwise, I'm just not comfortable. It's how I'm wired.
How long do you think you'll be able to keep that up for?
Forever.
I love that.
Yeah, it's not going to stop. Like,
so I think that brings us on to, so I wanted to talk, because I found it quite interesting that you called yourself a Christian entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Not that it's surprising for someone to be an entrepreneur and be a Christian. I think that probably most of the guests we've had on the show are probably like that. But to call yourself a Christian entrepreneur, I think that's quite interesting. Why? What does that mean? What does that mean, being a Christian entrepreneur?
It's nothing really. It's just I'm an entrepreneur who's a Christian. I'm a Christian that happens to be an entrepreneur. But
you brought that into your title. So does that affect how you operate?
Yeah, I think that like there's a reason why a lot of people work hard And then some people work hard, but the results differ. I feel like from day one, there's always been a massive grace over my life. And, you know, a lot of things that I touch do go well. And I feel like I have to give glory to God, because I don't feel like any of this is an accident. And I find the most successful people, and when I say successful, I don't just mean money, I mean like fulfillment, contentment, like wholesomeness. They have a source, and that source is Christ. I don't feel like money doesn't make you happy. So that's why I just put that Christian entrepreneur, just to throw it out there here and there, that like just reminding you guys that this is where the source is from.
I love that. And have you always been that way? Like, did you grow up? I'm sure you probably did grow up going to church.
Yeah, I grew up going to church, but like my personal relationship with God, I kind of found that myself. And just obviously, like, you know, I've been through stuff that's been painful, like when I lost my dad and all these things. But, you know, I've had experiences where, you know, things could have turned out very differently. And God has always seen me through. And my wife always says I have gold dust. She says, like, I'm the sort of person where, like, if I'm running late, maybe the train will be running late as well. Or just like certain things. Like, I remember there was a time, I think we were going to Paris, and like every single train was like cancelled, and like there was accidents, and there was like arsonists on the track. But the one train that wasn't cancelled was our one. Like things like this happen all the time. And I don't think it's a coincidence. Yeah.
I like that. Was there a point where you was chasing money and not, let's say, chasing Christ, for example, and let's say you had the money and then you realize actually something is missing, or you've always had the two in?
I've always had the two in, and like I'm fortunate, like God will always place the right people in my life. So even like my first sales job in the UK, there was three of us, me, Jonathan, and Todd, and we were kind of like always going back to back, like performing. And I remember every January, Jonathan would fast 6 till 6. He wouldn't eat at all, and we'd be working. And I'll be thinking, oh, what's this guy doing? Why is he fasting? But he's always be doing deals. And then anytime he did a deal, this guy, bear in mind, this is like a Wolf of Wall Street office scenario, would get on his knees and he would just praise God, like in the office all the time. And I remember my boss was just like, he told his boss that he tithed 10% of his income, whatever his commission was, he'll tithe it. Boss was like, I'm gonna give you 10% less then. Like, got onto him saying like, like turned it into like confrontation. He said, no problem, I'll keep doing it. And I remember like thinking to myself, okay, cool. There's something about it. I don't feel it's a coincidence that God put him into my life. Yeah. And obviously like my wife as well, she's like a woman of faith, very encouraging, her journey with God. It's like, yeah, I don't even know what else to say. It's just the world we live in isn't just what we see. There's a lot of things going on, and I think that when you're making money and when you're building wealth, there is a spiritual element to it as well. Like, there's a reason why, you know, maybe you're somebody who's goes in and out of jobs, and maybe it's the same pattern that your mum had or your dad had, or, you know, you're a single mum and you're from a generation of single mum. All these things, you know, sometimes we have to appreciate that. We have to take a step back and realize that there's a spiritual element to this as well. So we have to make sure that we're not just chasing financial clarity, we're looking for spiritual clarity as well, because the two do work hand in hand.
How important is giving in?
Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, if giving is very, very important. I think when you give with an open hand, more comes. So like, to be stingy and not help when you can, I think that when you're blessed with financial security or abundance, you should always do what you can to help others. 100%.
Because when a lot of the time when I've spoken to a lot of the like Christian entrepreneurs that we've had, we usually have the conversation off camera, but a lot of them say that a lot of the success that they see, like the more they give, the more success they see.
100%.
So yeah. And then in terms of like purpose, do you feel like this is your purpose? Do you feel like you found your purpose? And if someone was watching it and they're like in a space where they're like, I don't know what my purpose is, I'm trying to figure it out, what would you say?
I would say your purpose is probably linked to what comes naturally, what comes easiest to you, but what wakes you up in the morning, like, because it's going to come to a time when you don't need to do things for money. What's going to keep you going? I feel like, yeah, like if you're, obviously I know that sometimes your purpose won't always pay the bills, and that's okay as well. Like, you should be willing to do anything you can to put food on the table, but then when the time is right, God will always open a way for you to go and fulfill your purpose. Yeah.
What keeps you going when you wake up in the morning?
I just love the power of growth. Just like not leaving anything in the tank. I just like the fact that where can we go in life? Like, you know, when I'm on my deathbed, I want to say, right, that's it. I'm checking out of this physical world. And I left it all on the field.
Did you read that book? Is it like Die with Empty or something like that?
Not read it, but sometimes something I do for motivation is I Google like what are the biggest regrets of the dying people on their deathbeds. I just read through it, and I just know that, look, I'm alive. And the biggest way to say thank you for being alive is to give life your all, is to give everything.
What does your daily routine look like?
Wake up, pray, get it cracking.
What time are you waking up?
It depends. So I used to when I was living in the UK, I used to wake up 5 a.m. every day. And then like when I moved to Dubai, like I started waking up later, like 7, like just, but it depends because sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night to pray as well. So like my sleeping pattern might be a bit messed up, but yeah, in the UK, 5 a.m. every day, wake up, and yeah, just get it cracking.
And you sleep what time?
11. Yeah.
That's still good. Now, coming up to some of the final questions,
Sure.
do you think that getting rich is hard?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
I think being poor is hard as well.
Ooh.
So choose your hard. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool. So you believe that anyone can get rich?
100%. Anyone can get rich. If you have breath in your lungs and an internet connection, you can get rich, yeah.
One of the quotes I liked that you said was lock in now. So let me get this right. Lock in now so you don't have to clock in forever.
Correct, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's what I believe. Because, like, if you don't lock in now, you're going to kind of spend a period, I don't know when it is, but it will come, of just trying to lock in, but you're still clocking in, trying to lock in, but you're clocking in. And before you know it, you wake up, you're 72, you're not as mobile as you used to be, and you've wasted your time, you've wasted your life, essentially. So lock in now, because 5 years from now is going to come, 10 years from now is going to come, and we're going to see who was doing the work. You can't fake time. You can look like you're doing a bit now, but you can't cheat yourself.
Final thing I want to talk to you about is kids.
Yeah.
Are you worried about what your wealth impact might be on your children, their ability to grind and stuff? I don't think as much, because given that you grew up with parents who were doing relatively okay, it might be a little bit different. But I do know some people who didn't grow up with parents that grew up in, let's say, a low income situation, end up doing quite well for themselves. And because they feel like their grind came from the situation that they grew up in, they are then worried that their kids won't have the same grind because they didn't grow up with the same struggles. How does that, do you ever think about that when it comes to your kids?
Not really. Like it's a tough one, right? Like me and my wife, we discussed this. Like I don't really care about their grades. I don't care how they perform in school. I just want them to have a good network. So that's why we will always put them in the best schools, because I don't really feel like education is that important. I just feel like your network is what's important. Now, they are going to have wealth, right? You know, they're automatic millionaires. It's their job to go and build that wealth, and it's our job to put into them the mindset to build that. So, you know, unfortunately, I can't manufacture hunger within them. I can't tell them, guys, we're secretly poor. I can't do that, you know. So I have to look, they're growing up, they're privileged, but they need to see that as this is a springboard. This is not like, oh, okay, cool, we're just gonna like piss away all your efforts. They're gonna work, and I've put things in place. So I'm in the process of putting things in place with like a trust where, you know, anything that holds my name cannot be sold, can only be borrowed against. Rental income can only be used. You can't just come into all of this money and start acting in a certain way, and it will be triggered at certain ages, and then, you know, once it's triggered, it will go down generation to generation. So like my grandkids will know that I was putting in the work. Like this is generational. So it's, you know, there's obviously, you know, that I'm going to do the best that I can do, but it's about creating principles that are generational, that my kids can pass on to their kids, that can pass on to their kids, that can pass on to their kids. And when you look at like big families, like, you know, the Rothschilds and all these kind of people, they have these dynasties because they have a set of rules which they work from. So yeah, I think like, you know, one in like my children and their mindset is just one piece of a massive puzzle that I'm building.
So you won't send them to Nigeria so they can like see the...
And also as well, they can enjoy a bit of soft life, but they just have to get the work done as well.
But don't you think, like, when it comes to grades in schools, isn't there some value in teaching your, well, I don't know, because I'm not a parent, so I'm a child, so, but isn't there some value in teaching your child that you do the best with whatever is in front of you? That's what I see school as. Like, you don't have a choice, so you might as well be the best at
but
it.
school's very outdated, right? Like, if you look at technology, for example, let's look at AI, let's look at cars, let's look at all these things, it's changed. If you look at a picture of a school from 100 years ago, it looks the same. People just sit there in front of a classroom. So it's like, I don't really buy into school. And I feel like learning is done outside of the classroom. And I believe that what they're going to learn in a 10-minute conversation with their dad or their mum is going to be worth years of school from a teacher. Because really and truly, what can a teacher teach my child that I can't teach them?
Pythagoras theorem.
And how many times have you used that in your life?
Okay, so we're going to be moving on to the wealth woes segment, and this is just where someone sends in a dilemma that they are kind of going through, that they're thinking about. They just want your opinion on what they should do.
Sure.
And if you guys have any sort of like financial situations or whatever that you want some advice on, the link will be in the description box for you to send it in anonymously so we can have our guests read them out. And we do really use you guys' dilemma, so please do send them in. So this person says, I just finished university in May and I have 25K saved, but I have 20K of student loan. Do you recommend that I invest in property or stocks, or should I pay off my loan first?
I think loans are for leverage. So definitely take as long as you can to pay off the loan. I think with regards to stocks or should I invest in property, I guess it's what tolerance to risk do you have? Because stocks, from what I understand, is a long game. I know people that make money in stocks over time, and I know people that sort of are very aggressive in stocks in America, and they make big money, but they have big money to play with. And if they lose big money, they don't mind. 20K or 25K is not really a lot. So it's like, if it was me, personally, I would invest aggressively into rent to rent. But if I was somebody that had a low risk tolerance, I'll just buy a property, just put it there. You can't really lose. Make sure you buy it at the right price. Enjoy like a few £100 a month profit, and just call it a day. But it doesn't excite me. But I'm not a financial advisor as well. But yeah, it's not what I would do. But it's what the majority of people do, right? People don't like risk. So yeah, most people watching this, I'm sure, will just happily do that.
You said loans are for leverage. I like that. Can you expand on that a bit?
100%. So like, obviously, to build our portfolio and to get to where we've got to today, we've obviously had to take debt. I'm not afraid of debt. The more debt that I have, the more income I can potentially make. So also get to a stage as well where, like, even if you think you're making money, like let's say you're making 100 to 300K a month, when you get around people making real money, you realize that it's still a drop in the ocean compared to what's out there. So if you can leverage OPM or other people's money or banks, why are you not going to do it? It's essentially like, it's leverage. It's free leverage, because if you can give someone a better return on money that's sitting in the bank, and then you can go and make more money, it's a genuine win-win. So yeah, loans are for leverage. Like, paying back a loan early is really silly in my opinion.
Even student loan.
100%. I mean, student loans are the worst one to pay back early.
Did you go to uni?
I went to uni, yeah.
Have you paid off your student loans?
Have I paid off my student loan?
Probably not then.
I don't even know, to be honest. I'll be honest, I don't know. But because I worked, then went self-employed, then moved, I'm not really up to date with it. I think I paid off a chunk, but I also didn't take a massive student loan. Yeah, I took quite a small one. Yeah, but yeah, university was fun. I went to university.
All right, let's move on to the final section. So this is the quick fire money questions. And I'm just going to ask you a question, and then you just tell me what comes to your mind. So what is the best investment you've ever made?
Investment in myself.
What does that look like, investing in yourself?
Always stretching my mind, making sure that I can be the best that I can be, being on a constant quest to seek knowledge, like reading, getting around bright minds, seeing how I can implement that into my life and my business.
How often do you read?
All the time. Listen to podcasts on a weekly basis, read on a weekly basis.
Favorite podcast?
I like Hormozy stuff, to be honest, because he's very no nonsense, just sits there in his vest talking to the camera.
You're a Hormozy guy.
about business, right? And I like business because there's a lot of fluff and noise online, but he is someone that cuts through the noise. There's no marketing, there's no nothing. He just sits there with his little nose flap and his vest talking about straight business, like in his flip-flops. I love it. So yeah, Hormozy is probably my favorite, yeah.
Best book you've ever read?
I've read a lot of good ones, but I'll say Rich Dad, Poor Dad, not because it's the best book, but because it really shifted my mindset at an early age when I realized that, okay, like, and Rich Dad was kind of like the way my dad was, and Poor Dad was kind of like my mum's mentality. Not that she was poor, but she was more focused on work. He was more focused on business. And I think that in this day and age, a lot of people's limiting beliefs don't come from what they know. It comes from what they don't know. So they've not read certain things or heard certain things. And that's why sometimes you speak to someone and they've said, oh, you've changed my life, because it takes one conversation or one interaction to change. But if you've only been around the same people, been in the same place and heard the same mindsets, you don't know what you don't know, right? So yeah, that book, probably the best one because it opened and enlightened me in ways that hadn't been before.
Yeah. What age did you pick it up?
Teenager, I think like 17 or 18, I read that book.
Yeah, same. What is the biggest money mistake you've ever made?
We lost 25K. I think my wife mentioned this, on a like failed lease option. It didn't quite work.
So you can't do that one, so do another one.
So I've got to do another one. Okay. I'll probably say spending money on like designer clothes and things like that before I really had any money, just trying to be cool. When I look back, it was just a waste of money really, but didn't affect me that badly. It was not like I was taking out loans to buy Gucci, but like, I think just knowing that if you lock in, there's always time for that stuff later. You shouldn't be stretching for those kind of things. And back then, like, your friends are doing it, like, you want to look cool. So if you've got £1,000 in your bank, you're spending £999 on designer, which is crazy. But yeah, I'll say that's the worst thing I've done, probably.
You still want to look cool.
Cool in what sense?
I don't know. Whatever sense it was back then, you might want to look cool, maybe in a different way.
Yeah, I want to look cool to my family, yeah. I want my family to think I'm a cool person.
Okay. What is one piece of advice you'd give to someone who's trying to build wealth or build wealth globally?
Be willing to outwork everyone. Be patient, but also be impatient. Yeah, because there's times when you have to be impatient. And I think one thing I'll always say is that if you have an idea and you believe in that idea, reduce the gap or the distance between idea and execution. Don't stop waiting around, because if you wait around, you'll easily find an excuse for anything. Just reduce the idea and the waiting around, reduce that time between idea and execution, because even if you fail, you're going to be ahead of somebody that's not tried, because you're going to learn from it. And you think that you're not losing anything by wasting time and procrastinating, but just 1 week across the space of a year, if I made a decision every time I thought, and you made a decision and you took a week every time, exponentially over a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, I'm probably 100, 1,000, 10,000 times ahead of you, just because you're a slow decision maker. So I feel like poverty lives within slow decisions. And if you want to make money, you have to take fast action. Even if you fail, what's the worst that can happen? You know, if you're not already very successful, you don't actually even have very far to fall. So, you know, if you've got a net worth of 15K and you're worried about losing 3K, your mindset needs work, because this is when you should be taking the heavy risks, especially if you're not married, you don't have kids. You should be leaving everything in the field when it comes to risk taking, in my opinion.
So how do you then know when to be patient?
Patience is when you know you're doing everything that you can do, and you know that, look, let's say, for example, you're starting a business and you can't expect to turn over £1 million in a day. You have to know that you build it. Like, even when we've hit our first million, our accountant was the one that told us. We didn't know. We didn't realize, because it just been consistent working. And when you build from a position of not expectation of, I am going to do this thing regardless for the next 5-10 years, regardless of whether it works, you can't lose, because if you don't quit, you can't lose. So quitters never win, but winners never quit. So you have to adopt that mindset of, I can't lose because I refuse to quit. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the podcast. If people were gonna find, what do you offer? You're quite scary though. I feel like you're quite strict. I'm scared. So I know people are watching this and are like, hey, if I join this guy's mentorship or whatever, should they be scared?
You know what it is? I'm taking some time to lock in on the business. So I don't really offer anything right now. Guys, if you want to connect with me, just connect with me on Instagram or YouTube.